Hello, Soul Spirit Elite Clan. I am here on May 30th for our weekly message. There's a lot going on out there today, the past few days, with the protests and the crazy riots. And overall, our daily living just continues to get more and more weird with the global events at hand. The message that I was called to talk about today is about how we can help support ourselves and the planet as we transition through this weird time. I'm saying this and there's a selenite that I'm holding just crumbling away. We are definitely in a time of opportunity to anchor in some high vibe light, some high vibe energy. I know that it can seem like everything is going to crap right now, and in a way it is, but that's not necessarily a bad thing. Destruction is a sacred force. Just like there's light, there needs to be dark in order to balance the physical world, the energies of the world. So what I see here is destruction that can give the opportunity, the wash away, the clean slate to build a new society, a new police force, or maybe something entirely different from that, to support our communities in the way that works for us, for our souls, for our personal living, just our quality of life, because I think that the majority of people have a much more dismal quality of life than they could if we all band together and called for certain obscenities to shift, to change, including racism, including big corporation kind of overriding or exploiting not just Americans. There's many, I'm sure some of you are very aware of the unfair working conditions that are outsourced to other countries, and how people are exploited there. And not just exploited financially, but put at risk physically in order for us to have the goods that we have here. And if we knew half of how things really went down, I don't think most of us would be purchasing a lot of these items. However, those are the systems right now that are in question. Many, many big corporations are in question right now, and racial discrimination is in question right now. How our society handles injustices, that's in question right now. We have a lot of people who are out there rioting, and we have a lot of people who agree with what the message is behind the riots, but don't think that that's the way to go. That's a good question. I think that, like I said, some destruction is required. That we've seen peaceful protests, and how far do they get us? There needs to be some shock. There needs to be some change of power. And that people need to be able to show the system that the power does lie in us. And it doesn't have to be with all these checks and balances and crazy administrative technicalities, because who actually gets through those? Not often true hearts, but people who know how to work the system, which aren't necessarily the truest of hearts. Okay, so getting to the good stuff here, I want to talk about energetic hygiene. Energetic hygiene for us to anchor in the highest vibrations for ourselves every day as we're sensing and picking up on the collective, as we're reading things, seeing things on Facebook or Instagram or the news. I'm personally having a lot of challenge in grounding all of this in myself. I'm feeling hormonal at the same time as all this is going on. So this is our call to action, and we can do that energetically, physically, but energetically, and we can trust this process. So I'm going to go through a few little pointers that I kind of scribbled down, and then I'm going to read from a book. My guides are telling me not to give the title of the book right now, just that you sit with the message, that the excerpt that I read. So as far as the little blurbs that I jotted down, there's two factors here in keeping our energy high, our vibes high and clear. And there's a way for us to do this in order to, again, elevate our own selves. So that's more of a self reason, but also in order to flip that out, you know, as within, so without, to our outer world, to see these kinds of negativities turn into the beautiful things that they can, to see this as the process of, you know, when fall comes around, things are dying off, but what does that turn into? This detritus that becomes nutrients for the soil where new things can grow when the season is right. So just think of that as a metaphor for kind of how we're doing things right now. So physical practices that you can do to keep your energy high, to keep these heavy energies kind of elsewhere, and to really be anchoring in all the high energies. Epsom salt baths. Epsom salt baths are very cleansing for the aura. They're very relaxing for the physical body. We absorb the magnesium and some sulfate molecules that help us detoxify, that relax our muscles, literally, that hydrate us and give us the right kind of electromagnetic protection. It kind of charges us in the right way with the Epsom salts. Similarly, you can charge yourself and clear your aura and even raise your vibration higher with sound baths. And that means listening to, you can Google sound baths, but gongs, singing bowls, tuning forks, there's all different ways for you to get the frequencies. There's even on YouTube, just like you can look up the different frequencies. I would say look up solfeggio frequencies. There's different levels of frequency for love, for healing tissues, for clearing negativity. So you can look into that further and see what pops out, see what you're called to discover there. Body movement. You can be, so I feel things so heavy, and sometimes what I need is to really sit down and integrate it, process it through my body in a meditation and a mindfulness awareness of just observing where it is in my body, how it's affecting the local chakras, how it's affecting my whole system, and what it needs to do in order to integrate the right way. Because energies, you know, you don't always want to be pushing every energy off. You want to take that energy and use it for good. Energy is neither created or destroyed, but it can certainly be shifted. So if it's good energy, you know, take it as it is. But if it's uncomfortable energy, kind of like what we were talking about last week, we can take that energy, but we can kind of shift it. And one way that you can do that is just by mere observation, sitting there silently, observing the energies in your body, calling upon your higher self and God and your guides to do whatever it has to do in order to integrate the right way and for the highest good. So I did that for a little while, but another way that you can really shift or clear and elevate is through movement. So I really like to go for walks outside in nature. I also really like to do qigong and yoga movements, more intuitive than like having somebody tell me what I need to do or following a class. But I've been practicing for a long time with classes, so it's kind of all programmed in the body already. So if that's a different case for you, I would say go online and look up some qigong exercises. Look up some yoga courses for whatever your issue is, neck tension or heart palpitations or upset stomach, or just for grounding and anchoring in more love. I'm sure that they have routines for that online. So body movement is a really great way to kind of integrate your consciousness into your being and clear anything that's not working for you, clear any blockages or stagnant energies that you're holding. Helps it kind of move and open up your channels to have healthy relationship with yourself and any external information coming to you. Similarly, guided meditations are a really great thing that you can do as a physical practice. And you can do visualizations of cleansing your chakras, of cleansing your aura, of anchoring in the light. of transforming some of this fear and chaos into the creative potential that it has. And then there are the mental practices, and that is keeping your thought fields high vibration, the highest thought fields that you can, staying away from the fear, which is a survival instinct, which is, completely rational in ways. But this book is gonna help me kind of drive home this idea of our thoughts unfold, they manifest regardless of what they are. Our ponderings, they become our reality. So the way that you can really take this negativity or, the fear that maybe the media is trying to feed into, you can take that and you can use it to empower. You can use it to get excited for the positive change, for the beautiful acts that humanity is doing. We're all coming together to say it's not okay what has been going on, and this is just the last fucking straw. We're done. This is it. Because there's been many similar issues, and this is the biggest, most global connection that we've had. And it's probably because we've all been connecting, going within and connecting to everybody, like-minded people throughout the entire world, checking in with other countries about what's going on with this coronavirus, being more globally aware because of the pandemic. Now that global awareness is shifting to all of the sicknesses in our world. And how beautiful is that? That's fucking awesome. So keep your thoughts up here. Don't let them go down. Don't judge the people. Don't judge the reactions. Don't get angry. And I know that that's near impossible. Some of the things that I've been seeing today, just how police are treating the protesters is beyond enraging. I cried for a long time today, and that's can be very cleansing too. Just allowing the tears to go. It releases endorphins. It helps you process the strong, heavy feelings. Don't do it constantly because that's depleting, but a good cry every once in a while is an okay way, is a good way, a detoxifying way to handle or metabolize some of the strong information that we're processing right now. The other two things is connecting to your higher self, connecting to God, connecting to your spirit guides, and having faith in that is number two. We are here for a reason. We are all supporting each other in this group for a reason right now. And we can be a beacon, an anchor, and a breath of fresh air, a guide, a light for all of the energies that are going on right now. I think that we all have very beautiful intentions and souls, and there's not too much, I've spoken to all but one of you about your intentions for this 6-month program, and not one of them were selfish. They were also very genuine and pure. We have a very special group here, and I want you to remember you're special, you're important, and you're profound. And the work that we do, even when it's, in the mental realms, the psychic, psychological realms, those are very real. And if you don't already know that in your bones, I think that in these 6 months, you'll be able to see that. And that's a beautiful thing, and that's a powerful thing. And that means that it can also be a scary thing if it's not used in the right way. So the more that I personally observe my thoughts and how they unfold in my reality, the more I realize that even my most unconscious thoughts, they end up speaking back to me in my experiences out in the outside world. So if I start pondering some dark stuff, well, guess what's going to happen? I'm calling it right in. I am asking for it. And similarly, when I let things go, I don't necessarily, have to infuse everything with rainbows and butterflies and unicorn galore, sparkle light. If I'm neutral about something, if I have faith, if I just gently let it go, observe and be gentle with my thoughts, things work out in such beautiful ways. And yes, of course, there are some times when I feel very strongly convicted in a positive light. And that happens too. And then it's like, yes, that's, of course, thank you, God. But of course, quick example, and then I'm going to get to the book because we're already 15 minutes in here. But the other day, and this is I'm still quarantining pretty strongly. And so is the person that I'm living with right now. And he was outside working in the driveway, and he's been toiling over this tire. And we've been having a lot of conversations, about spirit guides, angelic forces, about how words have power and what you say manifests, whether you're joking or not, whether you are being negative or positive. He was out there, and it's been like a good 2 weeks at this point that he's struggling with this huge tractor tire. And he got to a point at one of the steps where like he was very stuck, and normally this step wouldn't be something where he would be stuck. It'd be a 2-second thoughtless thing. Literally getting the rim of the tire onto the edge of the tire onto the rim. So he's out there, upset about it. And I come out and I was like, oh man, that sucks. Nothing I can do as far as blunt force or anything. But I was like, ask for angels, ask for mechanical angels. Wouldn't it be nice if there was a mechanical miracle that happened? Why don't you just call upon those mechanical angels? And he was like, yeah, I wish. I'd really like to. And I was like, okay, so do it. So do it. And I just went back into the house and I called upon them on his behalf, if it was for the, the best and highest good. And I know that I later confirmed he did too. He was calling on those angels. And like not 2 minutes later, I hear people talking to him outside. And then I go check on him a few minutes after that. And there's 2 men helping him figure out this tire thing. They don't solve the problem right then and there, but they give him all of these little hints and tell him to grab certain tools that later on that day, he was able to fix this tire for good when it has been this crazy nightmare of a struggle for 2 weeks. We called upon those angels. Those angels came right in, and within a few hours, the tire is good to go. So it's real shit. It's real stuff. This is happening. This is constantly happening. And so the part of this course is, and a lot of you are looking for, this kind of level of interaction and knowing from the universe, this kind of relationship forging with the higher beings, and the highness of ourselves. So it's real, it's out there, expect it and honor it. So here we go with the book. I'm going to read until I feel like we should stop. So this little excerpt is called I Am the Way. You do not yet fully realize how important is the continual effort towards good thought, God thought. For this is not only building the temple, the spiritual body, the celestial body of the individual, but it is refining the physical body also. Some of you feel a certain complacency in the thought that life is law. You feel that you are in a sense an automaton, held in this law of nature, and cannot help yourself. This is not true. Every person has within him the God power, and as you learn to use this power of God in you, so you are recreating the life that you live and also recreating a more beautiful world around you. If you think of someone whose life is controlled by positive good thought, of a life directed from the heart, from the Son or Christ's Spirit, you know that such a life is well-ordered, peaceful, harmonious, happy. Nothing disturbs it. This law and order works gently, beautifully, and harmoniously throughout the life, making all things new, all things perfect. On the other hand, the life under the domination of negative or destructive thoughts is ungoverned, uncontrolled, unhappy, inharmonious, is full of chaos. But as Jesus said upon the cross, Father, forgive them, for they know not what they do. It is ignorance which brings this chaos. Ignorance is itself chaotic, undisciplined darkness. When once the soul earnestly seeks knowledge or understanding, then that soul is set upon a path which will lead to the temple of wisdom and knowledge. The man who follows the path of light enters into the fullness of eternal life, not in some life far away in some dim future, but here and now. He enters into a deep understanding of the power of the God life within him, which can control his mind and emotions, and which can sustain life by drawing upon the eternal light of God, and uses it for the blessing and healing of all mankind. This power Jesus himself demonstrated in his life, and is what he was referring to when he said, "I am the way, the truth, and the life." Jesus, or the Christ through the lips of Jesus, was speaking of that life which every human soul inherits. Every human soul inherits. That life which is the spiritual sun beyond all physical manifestation, of that spiritual glory which man can receive into his own being, and which can transform his life from darkness to light. Next excerpt is called "Be True to Yourself." Remember always the quiet, pure, and true contact within the sanctuary of your own being. Be true to your own self, your own spirit, and in being true to yourself, you will be true also to God and the universal brotherhood. I'm going to read that again. Remember always the quiet, pure, and true contact within the sanctuary of your own being. You are a sanctuary. Allow yourself to be a sanctuary. Be true to your own self, your own spirit, and in being true to yourself, you will be true also to God and to the universal brotherhood. Many people on earth and many sources on the etheric plane will delight in trying to pull you away from that still center of truth. Do not be pulled, but hold fast to the pure vision of goodness, truth, and love. Be watchful and alert, and do not be bejeweled by false values. It is easy to slip off the straight path. Having offered yourselves in sincerity and faith to the work of God and the brotherhood, remember that the starting point of this work is yourself. We can only give you principles or signposts, and you must work in the simplest way on each problem as it presents to you in your daily life, according to the principles given to you. We do not come to relieve you of your opportunities. We come to bring you power, wisdom, and love. We of the brotherhood do not expect more than you can give at your present stage on the path, but every brother can at given time seek attunement with the eternal light, can commune with God, can worship God. This you do in ways most harmonious to you personally. There are many rays reaching from the periphery to the center, but whichever ray your soul is on, reach forward to God, the heart from which the lifeblood flows. The brethren in the temple sit in a circle, hand in hand, their hearts reaching out to the heart in the center. This is truly the round table of the knights of the temple. You are all striving to become true knights. Your master teaches you in a very simple way the rules of the brotherhood, and you must endeavor to understand and apply these rules to your life. Try to distinguish between the limitations of personality and the limitlessness of God's life. Live to send out light, and this means seeing good in everything. But God is in everything, and we know that. If it doesn't appear to be good, then make it good. It will become good because all the things work together for good. All will be good and will come right if you center your vision upon God, because God is ever evolving, creating, bringing good out of evil, order out of chaos, light out of darkness. Next excerpt, Release from Darkness. Let us meditate, being conscious of the light of the Christ generating from our heart and enveloping us. We feel a complete relaxation as we are bathed in the Christ light. We are nothing, yet we know that we are a flame within the eternal fire. Of what should we be most conscious in the heavenly world? Light, the sun. Yet in heaven are lesser lights, those of the angels round the throne, each representative of countless hosts of beings, all vibrating to their particular ray of life. Each life stream is linked in the heavens to other worlds, and we as human beings receive direct power and influence from one angel in particular, and in general from all of these vast hosts. Within this life we live and have our being. This is the power, the wisdom, and the love in which we are encompassed. And yet bodily we remain in shadow because we are clothed in the darkness of the earth. But no man need forever remain a prisoner. It only requires the will to aspire and so to know the wisdom of the divine, and the prisoner is free. I'm skipping ahead a little bit to the next excerpt of Faith. Amid the apparent chaos of human blunders, you must never lose your faith in the love and wisdom of the great architect of the universe. We have already impressed upon you the power of faith. If you had faith even as a grain of mustard seed, said Jesus, you could move mountains. Behind all occult law lies the power of faith. Will you also remember that in your human life it is desirable for you to have a flexible attitude of mind? We mean by this that it is impossible to bind or limit truth. It is not wise to say, lo, here is truth, lo, there is truth, but rather feel that everywhere lies truth. And if human life or human contacts fall short of the ideal which you have set, remember that your ideal may be false, an incomplete ideal, and be ready to lay it aside and see truth working through all the experiences of life. Never be too rigid, and remember also to judge no man. We have reached that stage of being wherein we feel only love and gentleness towards life. We begin to lose the sense of separation, for there is no separation in love. Grand finale. Then there comes to the soul that wonderful interpenetration, that blending of the rays of color, the rays of the rainbow blending into the one ray which is pure white light. We pray that in your group work, your brotherhood work, you may experience, if only fleetingly, that beauty of the blending of the soul of you all, so that you are as one soul, one ray of pure white light. There is no separation in love. There is no condemnation nor irritation, but power, joy, ecstasy even, and you know that God is all. You know that God is in you and you are in God. You know there can be no error in God. You know that if you have patience and faith and trust, all your problems will be worked out. You know that God is love. Okay, so I'm being called to just open up here. Here we go. These words are so simple. May each heart be touched by the love of Christ. Many times we have all heard similar words, and yet we forget them in the heat and stress of the outer life, especially when we are troubled with anxieties and fears and tribulation. If only we could bring our minds back to this simple truth, we could find all anger consumed, all fears dispelled, all weariness passed from us, with the very thought or the realization within our breast that Christ's love is touching our hearts. So this is about not like just your, biblical Jesus Christ. This is about Christ consciousness. This is about the pure love that Christ demonstrates, that we all have within us. God talks about accepting Jesus into our heart. And what that really means is the accepting that Christ consciousness as our heart's true vibration, opening up our heart to that Christ-like love for everybody, for all of our brothers and sisters, for every creature, for every being on this planet and elsewhere, to have that Christ-like love and calm. And Jesus was functioning from a bigger picture. He was not working from fear. He was not working from worrying about if he was being popular or if everybody liked him enough or not, or if he was saying the right thing for certain social groups. He was coming from a higher order, and that's ultimately where we should be coming from. And we all have that capacity within us, and I think that that is the next major human evolutionary step, is us as humanity coming into that heart love consciousness. And this is the process that we're seeing unfold in front of us right now. The people that are moving me the most, that are bringing tears to my eyes, are the people who I see their hearts just out, ready to defend humanity, their brothers, their sisters, ready to protect lives, ready to stick up for people who are being bullied and killed and misrepresented and misunderstood. They're allowing all of those boundaries to not affect them in any way. They are ascending over all of that. Poppycock is what comes to my mind, and not a word I use. But all that bull crap, all of that gross, weird, I don't know, cultural, historical, social, false constructs that so many of us witness or practice every single day. Christ-like consciousness is about overcoming all of that, transforming all of that, and opening up to the bigger truth of our existence. And that is love, and that is joy and creation and freedom. And we all have a right to that, and we're all ultimately heading that way. And the way that we can speed that process up for ourselves is to look within, is to see where are we coming from in our hearts, where are our intentions, and it's not, and it's also, I'm getting, don't judge yourself just as much as you shouldn't be judging your others. You should not be judging yourself. We need to come from a place of compassion and understanding and sympathy of, maybe there's something that you don't feel good about for yourself. Maybe you're ashamed of a thought or a behavior or whatever it is. If you're judging yourself or feeling negative about yourself in some way, take a step back from that and come at it lovingly. Understand that you didn't know any better. If you did know better, you wouldn't have done what you did. And this is beyond like telling your kid not to have a brownie and he knows that, but he goes and sneaks a brownie anyway. It's beyond that conscious little silliness. He's working from an instinct, from a survival instinct, from a joy-seeking instinct. This little kid went and got that brownie against his mom's permission, not because he wanted to hurt her, not because he chooses to break laws, but because there was something in him that he needed to fill. And whether that brownie really fills it or not is a whole nother story. But he was working from a place where he didn't know better. And on a physiological level, his brain isn't even able to practice that kind of self-management and control. So we need to understand that just like a little kid going for that brownie, sometimes that's exactly how our behaviors come. And most of the time it is. And while, yes, that is behavior and ignorance, we can shed light. We can start bringing light to it. And instead of wallowing in the darkness of it all and having dread or regret or any kind of admonishment, we can come at it with light and love and maybe even a little bit of humor, and just shift it for the better, because we know better, and forgive, the past or whomever slighted to bring that disharmony to the picture. Just coming at it with so much release and freedom of, well, that's how it was and that's okay. We're going to move on now, and I'm going to move on for the better. And I'm going to shift, and that's it. The past is the past at that point. And in holding ourselves in those kinds of practices for us and for others, we're going to learn a lot faster. We're going to learn in much more loving ways, in much safer ways for one another. And imagine if everybody addressed problems like that, there would be absolutely no riots. But again, our society is not vibing out at that high vibration. So we are seeing riots and we are seeing destruction in order to bring those new energies in. And we are the anchors for those new energies. So keep it up, keep those vibes up, keep yourselves clean, high vibe. If you catch yourself feeling slumpy, do one of these practices. Take a bath, sage, do a sound bath, meditate, chant, hum, cry, write in a journal, envision, connect to God, connect to your higher self, connect to your spirit guides, envision everything working out for the best, and send that prayer out there. I hope that this gives you the tools you need to get through this week, and in the most super successful, beautiful kinds of ways. Please get back to me or write in the forum for the whole group if you have any comments or experiences along these themes that we talked about today. I would love to see more of you kind of getting into a nice pattern of checking in regularly with the weekly transmissions and also kind of having a little bit of a group journaling. But again, totally up to you guys, whatever you're inspired for. Sending so much love and light, and I'm sure we will all be connecting very soon. Have a happy week.